they'll test these two to the wire.
And it's going to be a filly in the Belmont.
American Fool, it's finally the one.
Secretary is widening there. He is moving like a tremendous machine.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the draw for the 152nd Belmont Stakes. And we saw Secretariat down the backstretch of the Belmont about 47 years ago. There he is in the paddock at Belmont. She's Maggie Wolfendale. I'm Andy Serling, and we're happy to bring you the draw for the 152nd Belmont Stakes. Maggie?
Bit of unusual year, as it has been for everything and everybody, but we are going to run the Belmont Stakes first this year. It's the first leg of the Triple Crown, and it's run at 1 1/8. But, Andy, as we were saying, this could be even harder to win the Triple Crown this year because it's also harder to keep a horse sound for that long, as you'll have to make it to the Preakness October 5th.
I couldn't agree more, and, you know, I like the phrase last will be first that Fran Ledun coined to me quite a while ago, and I think it's a great phrase for it. But, you know, it's interesting. There's so many different things at play. Obviously staying sound through the period. We'll talk more about it, but also new shooters coming along as well, making it tougher. Great day of racing. Obviously an unusual Belmont Stakes. We are sorry that the fans won't be able to join us, but the Belmont Stakes will headline a card of 6 total stakes, 4 Grade 1s. 5 of these stakes are for 3-year-olds. The Acorn, in some ways, it used to be the first leg of the Philly Triple Crown.
Right.
So we've got the 2 first legs in a way, looking back on history. The Woody Stevens, the Jaipur, the other 2 Grade 1s, the Wonder Again and Pennine Ridge for the 3-year-olds on the turf. Special wager, a 2-day pick 5, a $1 2-day pick 5. The 7th and 9th on Friday. The 9th is the Sir Cat at 6 furlongs on the turf. Saturday, the Jaipur, the Woody, and the 152nd Belmont Stakes. There will be 3 pick 5s, and early and late. Of course, the 1st through the 5th, and then, I guess, 8th through 12, but also a special one, 6 through 10, which will culminate with the Belmont Stakes. That one will not have a carryover. The others will. Lots to talk about, but none more so than 'Tis the Law, Maggie.
'Tis the law, Andy. I mean, he is coming home. It's sort of a homecoming for him after winning the Grade 1 Florida Derby in his last start back in March. But he has been training lights out. First down at Palm Meadows, and now he's put in 2 works here over the Belmont main track as we're taking a look back at that Grade 1 Florida Derby. And what I love most about this horse, Andy, is that he's faced adversity. He's had trouble in many of his starts, and he's listened well to his rider, Manny Franco, who seems to be really bursting onto the scene, as we've known him quite a while around here, but really kind of getting that nationwide recognition. And Barkley Tagg, boy, he's back on center stage again with a New York bred. How cool is that?
And the same connections as Funny Side as well. So it is a great story. And they have a chance to win the one race they couldn't win with Funny Side and then go backwards to try to win the Triple Crown. And they really do have a major player. I remember talking to Manny Franco as one on Champagne Day when he had just gotten the mount, how excited he was about getting a chance to ride 'Tis the Law. And you're right, Barkley Tagg has used these prep races exactly what they're supposed to be, preps, and he's allowed the horse to find himself into situations that are going to help him in this Belmont Stakes.
Exactly, and the thing is there should be some pace up in front of him, and it's okay. I mean, because he'll sit in that second kind of flight right behind the early pace setters and look to pounce as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about the new configuration, if you will, of this Belmont Stakes at a 1-turn 1 1/8.
Right, it is 1 1/8. 1.5 miles. You can't run 1.5 miles as the first race of the Triple Crown, so we've compromised. It's 1 1/8 around 1 turn at Belmont Park. And for more, and you can see where the starting gate is, let's head out to another member of our team, Richard Migliore.
You are looking at the 1 1/8 pole here at beautiful Belmont Park. We are standing way up in the chute on the far side of the track. And one of the unique features of Belmont Park is we're able to run a 1-turn 1 1/8. This is the starting point for this year's Belmont Stakes. And if you look behind me, take a look at how far a run to the far turn. They have over a 1/2 mile before the riders really have to start making decisions and jockeying for position. It gives these 3-year-olds a time to get into a good rhythm, a good stride before the real racing begins. This year's Belmont, a little bit different because of the pandemic, shortened distance, but it's still going to be an exciting, unique event.
Oh, the Belmont Stakes is a tremendous race and such an important race, and you were touching on it. It's just so much more difficult this year. I think people have to understand. I mean, we saw, unfortunately, 3 major players in a matter of about a week or so go by the sidelines. A lot can happen in the period of time between this Belmont Stakes and the Preakness.
It's so true, Andy. And Thinking about also the Kentucky Derby, which will be the middle leg of the Triple Crown. As you were mentioning, the biggest defection, obviously, is Maxfield, who came back with an impressive Matt Winn victory and came out with a condylar fracture last week. A very exciting horse that, unfortunately, we won't see in this Belmont Park.
We won't, but we'll be seeing a terrific race headed by Tis the Law for the draw of the 152nd Belmont Stakes. Let's head to Acacia Courtney at Belmont Park.
That's right. We're getting ready to pull the pills for our field of 10 to be run at a mile and an eighth. We'll give a note of each post position of where each horse will break from the start of the 152nd Belmont Stakes, presented by Naira Betts. And here to join me, we have Naira Stakes coordinators Andrew and Rob that will help us out. Take it away, guys.
All right, Belmont Stakes will be going as the 10th, and like they said, we got 10 horses.
Five.
5 is Farmington Road.
Farmington Road, number 5.
Javier Castellano.
Ridden by Javier Castellano, Farmington Road is trained by Todd Pletcher, owned by Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners, Chrysalis Stables, and Robert LaPenta.
1 is Tap It to Win, Kathy Johnny.
Number 1 is Tap It to Win, ridden by John Velasquez, trained by Mark Cassie, and owned by Live Oak Plantation.
7 is Jungle Runner as Moose and Raylu.
Number 7 is Jungle Runner, trained by Steve Asmussen, ridden by Raylu Gutierrez, and owned by Calumet Farm.
3 is Max Player, Rice Rosario.
Number 3 is Max Player, trained by Linda Rice, ridden by Joel Rosario, and owned by George E. Hall.
9, Dr. Post, Todd Irad.
Number 9 is Dr. Post, the second one from the barn of Todd Pletcher, ridden by Irad Ortiz Jr. and owned by St. Elias Stables.
8, Tis the Law, Tag Franco.
Number 8, Tis the Law, trained by Barkley Tag, will be ridden by Manny Franco and owned by Sakatoga Stables.
2, Sole Volante, Bianco Panici.
Number 2 is Sole Volante, trained by Patrick Biancone, will be ridden by Luca Panici, owned by Reeves Thoroughbred Racing and Andy Biancone.
6, 4 left, O'Neill, Jose Ortiz.
Number 6 is 4 Left, trained by Doug O'Neill, ridden by Jose Ortiz, and owned by Redham Racing, LLC.
10, Pneumatic as Moose and Santana.
Number 10, Pneumatic, the other one from the barn of Steve Asmussen, ridden by Ricardo Santana Jr., owned by Winchell Thoroughbreds.
And the 4. And 4 is Modernist, Mott Jr.
Number 4, the last but certainly not least, is Modernist, trained by Bill Mott, ridden by Junior Alvarado, and owned by Pam and Martin Wygood. That is the field. I have the morning line odds, courtesy of David Aragona. Starting with the number 1, Tap It to Win, 6-1 on the morning line. Number 2, Sole Volante, 9-2. Number 3, Max Player, 15-1. The 4 is Modernist, 15-1. Number 5, Farmington Road, 15-1. Number 6 is 4 Left, 30-1. 7, Jungle Runner, 50-1. 8, Tis the Law, your morning line favorite at 6-5. 9, Dr. Post, 5-1. And the number 10, Pneumatic at 8-1. That's the field. I'll throw it back up for a moment to Andy and Maggie on the set to discuss the post position for your morning line favorite, as we'll bring up a couple of interviews in just a moment.
You know, I think the only post position that probably might have been taken a bit negatively is Tap It to Win, drawing the rail, because it means his hand is forced. But Maggie, you know he's going anyway.
Right, and he does look as though he might be the fastest away from there, but Barkley Tag has to be ecstatic with drawing number 8 for Tis the Law. I mean, I had read that he'd like to be 5 or 6. Well, why not be 8 in a field of 10? I think that's absolutely ideal for your morning line 6-5 favorite.
I think Barkley was just sad that Empire Maker wasn't in there. That really was good enough for him. But I agree. You know, those outside outside post. And listen, post, we don't want to make too much of post.
No.
You're breaking on a straightaway. The only thing with Tappan to win is the other possible speed is 4 left. He's at the outside of him. So I think his connections would have preferred to maybe draw outside of that one. But I got to tell you, they're going to play come and catch me. Mark Cassie, he knows what to do.
Well, and two, I remember catching up with Mark Cassie's assistant, Jamie Begg, and he said, you know, the biggest thing with this horse is that it's one turn. So he gets to go from the rail. I think maybe, you know, he could play a little bit with the other speed, possibly kind of make him go a little bit wider, and then he can drift back in. So it's not a terrible post.
No, I agree. I don't think these posts are really that important, but they are drawn. And 'Tis the Law, the favorite, draws the outside, number 8 in a field of 10. For more and some talk with the trainers, or some of the trainers in this Belmont Stakes, let's head back to Acacia.
That's right. I'm joined by trainer Barkley Tagg, who does have your morning line favorite, 'Tis the Law. And Barkley, drawn towards the outside in the field of 10. What are your thoughts on this post position with the new 1.125 distance here?
Well, it could have been worse. I was hoping to get 5 to 7, something like that, so we'll take 8.
Now, 'Tis the Law has been here in New York for a little while. He's been getting acclimated, training. What have you been seeing from him in the mornings?
He does everything the way we ask him to. He seems to be very, very happy and content and does his works, and we're pleased with him.
He's in New York bred as well, and I would imagine that's got to be pretty special, too, heading into the Belmont Stakes with racing back here in New York.
He likes this track, so I'm glad to be back on it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Barkley. We appreciate your time today.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And I'll bring up next Linda Rice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. And Linda, trainer of Max Player, and it's not a question I like to harp on too much, but no female has won a Triple Crown race. And you're a fantastic trainer regardless of your gender, but it is worth asking, what would that mean to you to be the first female trainer to win a Belmont?
Well, it would be great, you know. It'd be great to win a Belmont or any Triple Crown race for any trainer, but they just haven't given women enough time yet.
I support that. Now, Max Player, he won the Withers. What have you been seeing from him since his last start?
You know, that was in February 1st, so we're looking at 4.5 months ago. But he has improved dramatically in his training in the last 60 days, so I'm excited about running this weekend.
And as far as his post position, he's drawn more towards the inside. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think Barkley and I were going to fight over number 5, 6, and 7. He got the outside, I got the inside. But, you know, my horse is a closer, so I think that'll work.
Linda, thanks so much, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you, Acacia.
Thanks. And I'll bring up next Andy Biancone, assistant trainer and co-owner, Sole Volante. Thanks. Yes, right here. Perfect. And Andy, you are obviously a person that's very close to this horse. How have you seen him since his last race, which was just about a week and a half ago?
You know, I think he needed that race. Fitness-wise, you know, he's really just improved since that race. He came out super fresh and happy, and, you know, we were just like, you know what, let's go. Let's take a shot at it. So he's just awesome. He's a pleasure to be around him. We love him.
He has a closing running style as well. What are your thoughts with this 1.125 distance this year?
You know, I was kind of bummed initially when I was hoping they'd keep it at 1.5 miles, but I think it's going to work out great. You know, the other day he went on a 1-turn mile, and, you know, he's just super versatile. I think it's going to be perfect for him.
And how did he ship in here to Belmont?
Awesome, actually. He was super fresh and happy and alert. He's a really chill dude, so just super walking around like happy as a clam, just happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have him here. Andy, thank you so much. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you, Keisha.
Thanks. And thank you to all of our visiting media and our connections this afternoon. And we'll send it back up to Andy and Maggie for some final comments on the post position draw.
Thanks so much, Acacia. And I was looking at Barkley. I felt like he could be a physician. I want to call him Dr. Tag after that.
He
looked
very
official. He really did.
I felt as though I felt
Really
the same.
did.
And Barkley looking tremendous all around. I mean, you can tell he's just got the Belmont glow of having the favorite in the Belmont Stakes.
Yeah, he's probably kind of amazed that he's back here with a chance to win it as well. And Barkley, of course, I almost took it personally when people were saying, wow, Barkley Tagg, he's arrived in the scene when Funnyside came, and like anyone who's been around racing knew about it for 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, I go way back with
sure you
Barkley
do.
being from Maryland as well, and he's old school. He's about as old school as they come, and he's almost a treasure to still have around here training at the level that he is, and getting the horses that he has in his barn as well. I mean, he's never lost it, and he's never not been on the scene.
No, he's the greatest, and of course those Bonner Young horses I always love. So let's talk about some other players. Let's talk a little more in depth about Tap It to Win. And I don't know that he would be my second choice in the race, but I can understand an argument that he's the most likely upsetter.
Yeah, because he could be the main speed in here. He could be the one that controls this race as he did in his last start, albeit that was only 2 weeks ago here as we see Johnny B with those live oak plantation silks on. And Andy, he's coming into this race with the highest Spire speed figure last out. I mean, he literally, I mean, not to sound trite, and use too much jargon, but he ran a hole in the wind this day. He ran fast every single eighth of a mile, and he put so much distance between him and the rest of the field. Yeah, he's meeting a better field in this Belmont Stakes, but they are striking when the iron is hot.
I agree. Conquistador Cielo won the Met Mile and 5 days later won the Belmont Stakes. And Mark Cassidy doesn't leave him in the barn.
Yep.
And if you think he's being foolish, well, then you thought he was being foolish last year when he won the Del Rose and a week later tried the boys in a Grade 1 with Got Stormy. So he's done it before, and I applaud them for taking the shot. This is the Belmont Stakes. It's a horse that was impressive breaking his maiden on a dead rail at Saratoga that obviously something went wrong at the end of last year, but a lot's gone right in 2020.
Well, they've said connections seem to hint at that he's just a horse that doesn't handle, for whatever reason, going 2 turns. I mean, his 2-turn races are awful, so why not take a shot in a classic Grade 1 going the 1-turn mile and an eighth at Belmont?
I hate to say it, Maggie, but you make a great point. Let's talk about Pneumatic for trainer Steve Asmussen, who won this race with Creator a few years ago. Everybody loves Maxfield, and Maxfield was going to be a clear-cut second choice, and he stayed healthy and running the Belmont Stakes. Why is the horse that finished just behind him, Pneumatic, not a player?
And 2, he has so much upside because he's not that exposed, and he's only run 3 races in which I thought his Matt win was a credible effort. Look, he had to battle the whole way. Now, we'll see that pace horse that he battled with fade away. Then here comes New York traffic. He battles with them, and then Maxfield just gets this over-the-top, crest of the racetrack trip, which he ran very well and to do so. But I think for only his 3rd start, Pneumatic ran very well here.
And he's also not a horse that has to be on the lead. I think he was on the lead in the Matt win because of the circumstance, whereas in this race, he's obviously not getting involved with Tap It to Win, so they're going to sit back and make a run. And it's not a stretch to suggest that he's a player in this race, as is Sole Volante.
Sole Volante, we're talking about short rest here. This guy's coming off of a very short rest, only having run 10 days ago in an allowance race. But what I liked most about this allowance race with Sole Volante is how he motored home. Yeah, he got some pace to run at here as we're checking out his Sam F. Davis win here. But this horse really kicks it into 6th gear, if you will, at the end of his races. So that, if he does get some hitting up front, I think is a very good attribute to have.
Right, and if you don't like Tap It to Win, you bring up the possibility that the race can fall apart a bit. And I'm a fan of this horse. I think he is A-OK. And Maggie alluded to the fact that he ran just about a week and a half ago, or when we get to Belmont Stakes, a week ago today, down at Gulfstream. But it was a tightener. It was an old-fashioned prep race. Patrick Biancone also had Ete Indy in there. They kind of rode Sol Volante like they were using it as a workout for him.
Yeah, I think they almost kind of used the stablemate to go out there and possibly set it up for him, as they were going to head to the Bluegrass. But since Max Player not in either of them, they said, why not come up here and take a shot at the Belmont Stakes? And I think a horse that has definitely shown that he has the talent to be here.
And Patrick Biancone won 4 huge races 37 years ago in a span of about a month and a half, when all along when the Arc de Triomphe, the Canadian International, the Washington, D.C. International, and the Turf Classic at Aqueduct in a span of about a month and a half. So he knows how to win races on short rest. Finally, let's talk about Dr. Post, who's one of a couple horses for Todd Pletcher in this race. And he is the best one coming off this win in the Unbridled. is he really good enough? And does Todd Pletcher lose a little bit of his edge, which was knowing how to run well in the Belmont Stakes at 12 furlongs?
He does have a niche with
best.
getting horses to do that. The thing with this horse is that, yeah, he won here. He had to wait for room. He had a little bit of trouble in this Unbridled. But watching this horse, Andy, and Todd is the absolute master. There's nobody else I want in my corner for getting a horse to try a longer distance that he hasn't run before. I'm worried about this horse that there might be some distance limitations with him. To me, looking at him physically and the way he trains, he strikes me as a horse that, well, a mile and an eighth might be pushing it. It's a good thing it's not a mile and a half for Dr. Post.
Yeah, we'll see what the case is, but Todd Pletcher has had a tremendous record in the Belmont Stakes, albeit at 12 furlongs. So can't wait for the race on Saturday. Looking forward to a great day of racing. I don't have any final thoughts on the race. We'll be talking about that a bit in the next couple of days, but Tiz the Law is the one to beat, and I'm not against him.
I'm so excited to see Tiz the Law. I mean, just a horse that dazzled us up at Saratoga, here in the Champaign, and he's come in with good preps for this 3-year-old season, and boy, I'm waiting for him just to put on a show for us in the Belmont Stakes coming this Saturday. Andy.
As am I. It's going to be a great day of racing. 6 stakes, 4 grade 1s on the card. Of course, the Belmont Stakes, the 152nd Belmont Stakes, is the big one. Tiz the Law, the favorite. He drew post 8. Tap It to Win drew the rail. He's the one who will be out winging on the front end. Thanks so much for joining us at the draw for the Belmont Stakes, and we'll see you more on Saturday. Belmont Stakes just 3 days away.